Well, here we are again. As it seems like we are unable we're not broadcasting live for the radio station, but we wanted to go ahead and continue with the show, and it will be played for you at a later date. I don't know what date, but it'll be played for you at a later date. So I want to go ahead and get started with our conversation today. I play the piano for a church that is predominantly white, and a black church wouldn't have my plan. That's not lost on me. I know that because I play by the music, and it takes me a long time to learn something by ear. And I'm still doing the Baptist slow down, and I got an octave playing in the bass. So yeah, it works for this particular church. But one of the members of the church, I really think is trying to be my friend. And I remember saying, she's white, and I remember saying to her one day, um, we were talking about friendship, and I said, I wonder if it's possible um, for me to be, can you be friends? Can I be a friend to a white person? Like, how does that work? And I asked the other black person that was in the room, that's actually her and fellow coworker. So we were having that conversation. And so what was on the table for me is it possible for you as a white person to see me, to see Denise, to see beyond the colors, to see beyond the stereotype, to see beyond your implicit bias and see Denise? Is that possible? So that's the question that's really on the table when I'm asking, can we be friends? And then from the flip side, from my side, what I'm asking is it possible for me to trust you? Like, can I trust? I don't know. And so we're having this conversation about what it means to be friends across the racial barrier. And she said, well, we go to church together. And I said, that is not the measure of a person for me. Just because you go to church does not mean that you can be my friend, or that I can be your friend, or that you can see me, or that I can trust you. That is not what that means to me. So it means nothing, absolutely nothing, that we are sharing this space together in worship, because I believe that people are putting on a face, putting on a mask when they show up at church. They're going to be the person that they, in their minds, have been conditioned to believe God wants them to be. And so that's who they pretend to be in that moment. Now, some people are not pretending, I get that, but most of us are. And so we talked about friendship being something that is developed over time, and when you're sharing space together. So I was like, we need to do something beyond church. Like, I need to see you outside of this. Like, how are you just in your regular everyday life? And so I invited everybody. I invite everybody to In and Out with Tea when we play space with my mother, and she came, and I thought that was really great for her to come. And then we talked some more about friendship, and I said, well, oh, I thought you showed up for my mama. Like, I didn't think you showed up for me, because look, I am not mistaken at all. There are so many of you that really want to be with my mama, and you can do without me. That's okay. That is okay. My mother is a gentle, kind, angelic soul, and so she attracts people on a different level. And so I was like, well, I thought you were coming first. He's like, no. So when I got this invitation last week, I think it was last Monday, they said they had tickets to this concert that was happening on Friday. Would I like to come? I didn't even know who was going to be I didn't know who was in concert. It didn't even matter. I felt like they were trying. They were listening to me. They were trying. So I said, yes, I will show up. And we were supposed to meet at Vino's. We were going to have some pizza and then head over to the hall. Head over to the hall for the concert that was in tribute to Freddie Mercury. So it was a Queen concert. So those of you who are familiar with these terms, a Queen concert in memory of the late Freddie Mercury. So there were songs like We Are the Champion, Someone to Love, Bohemian Rhapsody. My favorite song was The Show Must Go On. I got to look up that song. And so we had a grand time together listening to the music. They said that that's why they invited me, because they felt like, first of all, they like my energy. Secondly, they know I like music. So surely this would be something that we could enjoy together. When we got to the space, It did not take me long. We were at the hall. The hall is the new event venue that is on West 9th Street. It's across from the Flag and Banner building, the only remaining building from the 9th Street district when it was the Black Business District back in the day. So when we got there, it did not take me long to realize that I was the only Black person in that space. The space that can hold 1,200 people, I did not see any other Black face. I know some people do not worry about that, but, and I don't even want to say I worry about it. It's just something, it's right now, it's just innate. That's just what I do. I want to know where the exits are. I want to know if there's somebody else in here that looks like me. I want to see myself reflected in this space. And I'm looking for myself reflected in the space, not as a staff person. I saw the Black man that mopping the floor. I'm not talking about that. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about a person who has come to participate in the event like the other people in the room. And so I'm looking for my reflection and I cannot find it. And I said to them, I cannot find it. So we went to the bar, get a drink, come back, and I saw some braids. That's what I saw, a head full of braids. And I said to them, when I got back to the table, we put the drinks down and I said, hey, I think I see somebody Black. I'm going to go over there and speak to them. So I'm walking up to the woman that I think is Black because of her hair. Very stereotypical way for me to point out a Black person. I am aware of that. That is not lost on me. I'm crystal clear that is why I thought this was a Black person. And I'm walking up to her and I'm probably about 6 feet away from her when she turns to the side. And when she turns to the side, I realize, oh, that's a white woman. Oh, okay. So I just turn around and I go back to the table and I said, oh, I was wrong. And they started laughing because they had already made this joke. She's going to get over there and it's going to be a Mexican. That's what they had said to themselves. So everybody starts laughing. I'm like, okay. So we continue to talk. And then one of them says, hey, I think we spotted a Black person. I'm like, where? And so they point to this woman who is to my left, standing over against a makeshift wall. She's standing in the entryway that leads to the patio where they have the food trucks if you want to eat something while you are being entertained at the concert. And I said, oh, okay. So I walk over to this woman and I say to her, you look Black to me. And I wanted to come over and speak to you. And so she starts smiling. And then so I'm thinking I'm onto something, right? Here is a Black person. And she starts talking. And immediately I knew that she was not a Black person. She's African. And so she told me her name. She told me where we're from. We had a conversation. Just so happens that she's from Kenya. I've been to Kenya. So we talked about that experience for a minute. We talked about how we do see ourselves reflected with our darker skin, and we hugged each other, and that was that. I went back to the table and I said, you know what? I'm just gonna stop. Like, I'm gonna stop looking for the Black people because I keep getting it wrong. So I'm just not, I just keep getting it wrong. And we went on with the concert. The concert was great. Every person in the band was a Black person, with the exception of the lead guitarist. There was there was so much talent on that stage. I mean, the music, the keyboardist, the bass guitar, the lead guitar, the background singers. There was so much talent. And the man, it's a white man. I don't know his name. White man. I guess his name's Queen. His voice was amazing. Like, he sang for over an hour. I'm like, who does that? I mean, it was a really good concert. As I left though, we left and we said our goodbyes. I could not stop thinking about how I could not find a Black person in that space. I am not going to say that there were no Black people in the space because I stopped looking. I stopped looking for them. I'm just going to enjoy the concert and keep it moving. So I don't want to say that, but I did not see them when I was searching for them. And so I thought that was really interesting, considering the fact that this hall, the picture that they have on the wall that is above the bar when you first walk in, it says Little Rock across the top, and then it says Hall across the bottom, and then it makes sure to point out that this is the historic 9th Street that this hall is located on. And when you look up the history of the hall, they also make a point to remind us that the Arkansas Flag and Banner store, which used to be the place at Taborian Hall, that housed the Dreamland, and it was a music venue. There were 3 floors, and there were different spaces, different concerts happening, a lot going on in the 3 spaces, where this was the place for Black artists, Black vocalists for sure, but Black instrumentalists, let me say it that way, to show up and to be in concert together in this district that was the Black business district of the time. At one point, over 100 businesses lined 9th Street. So this history of this area, this 9th Street, the history is rich with Blackness. It's rich with entrepreneurship. It's rich with community. It's rich with mutual aid, wanting to make sure that everything you needed for your life to be, I don't want to say successful, that's not the word I'm looking for, but for you to thrive in your Blackness in this state that we call Arkansas, you can find what you need. It is available to you, for you, and by you in this 9th Street business district. And I was thinking how interesting that is for this hall to be in this place, and yet I cannot find a Black person in the room. So somebody might say, well, it's because of the concert. Like, who wants to come to the concert? Well, I don't know if well, then why you put on this concert if you just thought white people don't come? Like, that could be the question, right? And so I wanted to know more about the hall. I wanted to know more about how it got here. I wanted to know who owns it. I wanted to know all of those things because I'm trying to locate Black folks in this new story that we are telling about the hall. Yes, you say that it is a historic district. West 9th Street is a historic district. Yes, that is what you have written on this marquee that you have in here. But what is the through line? Like where are Black people in this continuation of the story of what has happened to 9th Street? Like, where are we telling the story about what happened to the Black business district? Where are we telling the story about the purpose of 630 and how it basically destroyed and it was designed to destroy the Black business district? Like, where are we having that story? And so the reason that I wanted to start this show with Free Your Mind, and the rest will follow, is because we're talking about, in this space and time now in 2023, we continue to talk about the miseducation of Black folks. We continue to talk about how we are intentionally designing curriculums, intentionally criminalizing spaces where the truth about American history, because this is not Black history, I'm talking about American history. I don't have any audio yet. I'm recording myself right now. Hold on just a minute. Let me get this call. Caller, you're live on the air at KBF 88.3. Thanks for calling. Okay, thank you, caller. I hear you saying something's wrong with the radio. See. So this miseducation is perhaps one of the most critical issues that we are facing right now as a community of people that includes Black folks, right? So I center Black bodies, I center the lived experiences of Black folks. That is absolutely true. That's what we do in this space. But it is in conjunction with, it is in the context of us as a whole community of humans. Like, we are all human together, which is why we start out with the Sawubona. In the spirit of oneness, we create this space for us to have this conversation about how we are going to exist together in a way that honors the humanity of us all. And how can you honor me as a human if you don't want to talk about the truth of how we got here? Like, most of us, especially when we meet people and we begin to have conversations about ourselves. We want to talk about our families, and some people will then begin to tell you how they got here, who their ancestors were, their grandparents, and where they came from. It's part of their lineage, and they are proud of it, and they want to share it. But when you begin to talk about Black folks and our lineage that is rooted in the system of enslavement, that becomes something that we don't want to talk about. That becomes something that we want to erase. But if you erase that, you are trying to erase Black people. You are trying to erase my very existence, and I'm not going to allow you to do it, which is one of the reasons why I do not identify as African American. I identify as Black because I want to own who I am in the fullness of my story, which includes the original sin, the atrocity of enslavement happening on American soil. It happened on other soils, I know. That's not lost on me, but right now I'm talking about America. This is where I live right now, and this is what I'm talking about. But in the grand scheme of things, enslavement happened all over this world. It is a global phenomenon. It's a global atrocity. It is a global tragedy that we have. Is that what it was? Can y'all hear me now?
Like what?
What was it?
The mic.
Hmm?
He told me I only had to cut on the mic this right here.
That
Yeah.
was it?
Like
You're the best.
Okay, thank you. So it says you should be able to hear me now on the radio. So somebody let me know. Can you hear me on the radio? Yes, Mayor Lisa Hicks Gilbert. Yeah, so we're talking about American history, which includes the system of enslavement that was rooted in racism because of the color of our skin, the darkness of our skin. So I hope that you all are able to hear us now. This has just been a nightmare. I don't know. So I'm at the hall and I'm thinking about how the hall got here. So I was having a conversation with Tony about it because Tony knows way more history than I do about Arkansas. So I was wondering who was able to open up the hall, who was able to get the flag and banner. So we started talking about the ownership. And one of the things that came up in the ownership is that Black people were not able to. This is the way that I heard the story. I did not say this is what he said. I said this is the way that I heard the story. The Black people were not able to receive the funding in order to get the building. Now, right now we're talking about the Arkansas flag and banner. They were not able to get the funding. They were not able to get the grants. They were not able to get what they needed to take ownership of the building. That's how I heard it. And so then when I'm looking at the hall and I'm going back and I want to see its ownership is white as well. And I'm like, why is it that we can't seem to gain this access? And on some level, I do think systemically, we are not allowed the privilege of, we are not allowed the equity of, we are not allowed the equality of having the same response to our applications for loans. I do know that is out there. And I know that as Black people, we spend a whole lot of money on other things rather than acquiring land, rather than buying buildings, rather than starting up new business districts. We spend our money in a lot of different places. And then when we don't get a loan or if we don't get the grant, my question was, why didn't we just do it ourselves? If they're not going to give us the money because they don't want to give us the loan because they say we don't have good credit, if we can't get the grant because they don't trust that we're going to be able to be viable without it once the grant runs out, whatever the reason is, why don't we just do it ourselves? And so that question always leads us to talk about economics and Black economics and how we have a lack of that. We see a lack of that in our community. We see a lack of that in the strategic planning from the city government, from the federal government, from the state government, from all the governments. We see a lack of attention towards economic development, particularly for Black folks. And so the question I had is why do we wait for them? Why are we waiting on the government? Why are we waiting on the grant? Why are we waiting on the loan? Don't we have enough money ourselves? And so the conversation then begins to dissolve because it's like, well, we make less money, we are less employed, like all of those things. Yes, and that is true. We are underemployed. We are overeducated and underemployed. We do not have as many managerial positions as other folks, other races, other ethnicities. That is true. But we do have dollars. Black folks, collectively, we have a lot of dollars. I was doing a little bit of research and I got stuck right here. I got stuck. $2.29 billion Black women spend on hair care. $2.29 billion a year Black women spend on hair care, not health care, not taking care of our bodies, like going to the doctor, reproductive justice. That's not what I said, hair care. So we're talking about the industry that has continued to tell us, to woo us, to lull us into believing that we are not beautiful unless we reflect a certain standard of beauty. And that certain standard of beauty includes hair. Making sure that we have straighter hair, longer hair. So when we start talking about I said 2.29 billion for hair care. But when we talk about beauty care, I'm trying to make sure about my skin. I'm trying to make sure about my about my wrinkles. I'm trying to look professional. I'm trying to look appropriate. I'm trying to be closer to whiteness is what we're saying in this conversation. And so $7.5 billion Black women spend on beauty care, and 2.29 billion of that is just hair care. 9 times more money than any other ethnicity we spend on hair. So if I begin to ask the question, why do we have to wait for a grant? Why do we have to wait for a loan? I don't want anybody else to tell me it's because we don't have the money. Absolutely, we have the money. As a matter of fact, I don't like to go shopping with folks. I really don't, because I don't want other people counting my money. I'm just gonna be honest with you. I don't like it when somebody's acting like if I don't buy something, it's because I'm cheap. And if I buy something, it's like, ooh, I can't believe you spending money. I spend my money however I want to. And I'm pretty sure that's everybody's like motto, right? Like it's everybody's mantra. Like I go to work so that I can spend my money in the way that I choose to spend it. And so when a person calls me cheap, and I have been called cheap before, and that's okay. I'll probably be called cheap again. I'll say to them, if I care about the relationship, I will have the conversation. If I don't care about the relationship, I let you say whatever you want to say and I'm done, whatever, and I move on. But if I care about the relationship, I will say, wait a minute, let me tell you something about this is what you need to know about Denise. Denise, the question for Denise is never, can I afford it? It's never, can I afford it? The question is this how I want to spend my money? That is the question. And I think that becomes the critical question for all of us. It's not, do you have money? I'm trying to see how much. No, how do you choose to spend your money? Because if we've got, and this is just Black women, if we've got $7.5 billion to spend on beauty care, don't tell me we cannot own buildings. Don't tell me that we cannot cultivate communities. Don't tell me we cannot have a bank, a hospital. And again, I'm just talking about Black women. Black men are spending $2 million a year on tennis shoes. No, $4 billion on tennis shoes, $2 million on alcohol and liquor. Liquor is alcohol. Let me get this comment up. So here's a comment from Deidre. 9th Street and other neighborhoods that are being gentrified are explained with this. Blacks make the history so that whites make the money. I'm gonna read that again. 9th Street and other neighborhoods that are being gentrified are explained with this. Blacks make the history so that whites make the money. What y'all got to say about that? How we making the history? We make history by being brutalized, by being traumatized, by being murdered, by being dehumanized, by being excluded from the systems that should be taking care of our bodies, like healthcare, and taking care of our minds, like educations. Like, is that what you mean? That's how we make the history? What do you mean that's Black folks make the history? Because what I'm suggesting is, okay, because even if that's true, we can make a history that says Black folks got together and decided that we're not waiting on anybody to give us a loan, give us a grant. We are going to pool our collective dollars, the collective dollars that we have. $30 billion we spend on weave and perm, $4 billion on alcohol and liquor. This is all Black folks. $100 million on meat, beef, chicken, pork, and turkey. These are our dollars. And so that's 134, that's $34 billion right there. Listen, y'all. I gotta make me hot in here. I got to take off this stuff. I done got hot in here. We spend $3 million a Sunday across the states at church. So church has historically been a very crucial part of our existence, because historically we can talk about how the church played a role in the movement, the civil rights movement. The church played a role in making sure that Black folks have what we need. We had an institution that would teach our children. We had an institution that would grant us life insurance. We had an institution that cared for our souls. We had an institution that would stand up to the white Ku Klux Klan or whoever the entity was at that moment terrorizing Black bodies. We had the Black church right there at the center of it all. But now we still have $3 million going to the church. But where is the church in the store? What do you remember when we tried to get St. Mark to buy the grocery store right there on 12th Street? Do y'all remember that? Let me put this comment back up. 9th Street, Black Wall Street, and others were historically Black spaces. Now they are owned by whites who are making money off of these historic places. Gotcha. Let me say that again. 9th Street, Black Wall Street, and others. So I can talk about Fair Street. That's from my hometown in Jackson. We can talk about all across the United States, there was a street. 9th Street, Fair Street, Black Wall Street, there was a street. And now they are owned by whites who are making money off of these historic places. Yes. And yes, that's absolutely, I have no doubt about that. But my question is, does it have to be so? And if you say, well, the system, yes, the system is rigged against Black bodies. I talk about that all the time. I do not deny that. But I also cannot deny these statistics right here. $3 million a Sunday going to churches. Okay, what does your church do? What service is it offering the Black community? Does your church have a school? Does your church own a bank? Does your church offer insurance? Does your church have a hospital? Yeah. And so Deidre agrees with me. No, it doesn't have to be so that we're making the history that white people now own and making money off of our history. It does not have to be so. So when we're talking about freeing your mind, when we're talking about making sure that we are not the miseducated, when we talk about the importance of telling each other the truth, is not, yes, we need to fight for it to happen in the schools. Yes, I'm not arguing against that, but I'm saying we don't have to be dependent on that. When have they ever wanted to teach about Black folks in the school? They've never wanted to do it. So now for us to be so enraged, and now we gotta have all this fight, now we gotta, do all this protesting. Okay, do it, but what's next? What else? Where is the and? The yes and. Yes, fight for all of those things. And how come we can't claim it the community for ourselves. Don't tell me we don't have the money. We've got it. The question is, what are we doing with it? And how do we free ourselves? Now, I've had several conversations with Black women who are appalled at me when I suggest that the reason that you have long hair, the reason that you have weaves and wigs, is because you are trying to get closer to whiteness. The question becomes, the counter argument is, how come it can't be just because I have style? How come it can't be because if we really want to talk about where everything is sourced in Blackness. So everything from the beginning started with Black folks. So don't give weave to white folks. Don't give them permission to take our look and our style. I don't appreciate you saying that about me. Okay. I have no problem with that. If your mind is free enough to understand that you don't have to look that way to be accepted into the world, and you do it just because you think it's cute, okay, no problem. But what I know for a fact is that most of us, we do it because we do understand. In our psyche, we believe that we understand that the way to get the job. I had this conversation with my cousin not too long ago. She's wearing her hair naturally, and she was looking for another job, and she was fighting herself because not only did she hear herself say the words, she felt her body go through the motions of straightening her hair in preparation for the interview. Both of us knew that there was no reason for her to straighten her hair if your mind is free. But she said, I got to get out of here. I got to look, so I got to do everything I'm like, what? Listen to, and she was listening. She was mad at herself, and yet she still did it. So we might say that our minds are free, but our bodies don't follow it. And that's what the song says, free your mind and the rest of you will follow. Right now we're following the myths about our bodies, the myth that we are not appropriate, the myth that we are not professional, the myth that we are not beautiful, unless you got people showing up at the gym 6 o'clock in the morning with makeup on. Black women. What? Where they do that? The one part of the song that I do take issue with, free your mind and the rest will follow, is the line that says, be colorblind, don't be so shallow. And I feel like I need to clear this up before I go. My time is up. I know I haven't been on long because I couldn't figure out the board, and the guy came in and just, BB's husband just came and pressed one little button. That's all I need to do, press the button. I thought the button was already on. Anyway, when it says, be colorblind, don't be so shallow, there are several people who the world has convinced are white that think that it is a great thing to say to a person, I don't see color. I don't see color. And I want to make sure, because I'm absolutely promoting this song, but I want to take issue with this one line, that there's no such thing as being colorblind. I believe what these women involve, what they're saying, and what the white people who have told me this, the only person who's told me this is white people. Nobody else has ever said that to me. This is white people. I believe what you want to say, what you mean to say is, I see you as Black. I mean, how can I not? I see your skin. I recognize that. I'm just not going to allow it to hinder our relationship. I'm not going to allow it to color, pun. I'm not going to allow it to color how I treat you. I'm not going to allow it to shape my thoughts and opinions about you. I am not going to allow it to be a barrier in me seeing the fullness of who you are. I'm not going to focus on it as any kind of indicator to the type of person. I'm not going to pass judgment on you because of the color of your skin. That is what I really think you mean to say, but that's not what you're saying when you say I don't see color. When you say I don't see color, first of all, you're a lie, because you absolutely see it. Secondly, if you say you don't see color, you erase me, because all of who I am as a person living in America, a Black person living in America, is shaped by the injustices of having Black skin. So for you to say you don't see color, you don't see me. You don't see my blackness. You are trying to erase me. You want to erase the story. And now we have the miseducation. No, slavery was a necessary evil. It didn't have anything to do with black folks. Oh my goodness. Stop with the lies. And so I wanted to make sure I took issue with that because I don't want anybody else to tell another person I don't see color, because you do. If what you mean is I'm not going to allow anything as superficial and constructive as race to get in the way of the Sawubona that we can experience, the oneness that we can experience, then say that, because that's what you mean, instead of saying I don't see color. Your girl Lola's in the house. She's been in here for a long time trying to help me with this board. She's ready to come up now with the next 2 hours of jazz. And I am going to get us, I'm going to give a time to get ourselves together by playing this song by Lettucey. I chose it on purpose because since we were talking about the hall, I didn't say everything I wanted to say about the hall, but since we were talking about the hall, the very first person that they had to lead as a headliner at the hall right here on 9th Street across from the flags and banners. So the very first headliner was Lettucey, a Black woman. So here she is now singing Pieces of Me as you get ready to hear your girl Lola for the next 2 hours, playing you all the jazz that you can stand so that you can use that music to help free your mind so the rest of you will follow and we will be more careful about how we spend our Black dollars. I'll see you next time.
Good.
It's playing.
No, come on. Cut the one. Okay. Is it not playing?
Here. Let's see.
The thing is off again. Cut that first mic on. You gotta cut all them on. Those are necessary.
I thought that's when you put on free talking.
No, all those gotta be on. You just gotta pull the book thing down. Yeah, those have to be on. And the other ones have to. Well, I don't know why it's not playing. You did everything you should. Lord. Feel right. Ain't that crazy?
Oh, no, I think this is what it is.
That's number one. That's good. Number two. Number three should work. I don't think you have both the lights on. I think you need to cut that one white light out on the top. No, at the top, very top. Over here. One more over. Yeah, that one. No, next to it, babe. Cut that. No. I think. No, I don't think all those lights can be on. I think the way they have it is that this one, and so that's the way they usually have it. Ain't that crazy? Is the song playing? It is playing.
Oh, and I haven't ended the stream yet.